I didn't catch my wife cheating the way it happens in movies. There was no lipstick on a collar. No suspicious hotel receipt. No dramatic scene where the door flies open at the worst possible moment. What I caught was something quieter. And somehow, that made it worse. It started with a feeling I didn't want to admit to myself. We had been married for 9 years. Not perfect years, but honest ones, I thought. We had built a life out of routines. Morning tea, shared bills, weekend groceries, late-night conversations that slowly turned into comfortable silence. I believed that silence meant peace. Now I realize it can also mean distance. She had been different for a while. Not cold. Not cruel. Just absent. Her smiles felt delayed, like she had to remind herself to smile at me. Her phone never left her hand anymore. Even when we sat on the same couch, inches apart, it felt like there was an invisible wall between us. I told myself I was imagining things. That's what loyal husbands do. They trust. They give the benefit of the doubt. They convince themselves that love doesn't suddenly disappear without a reason. One evening, she said she was going out with a friend from work. She named a woman I had heard about before. I nodded without question. I always nodded without question. She dressed differently that night. Not inappropriate, just intentional. Perfume she hadn't worn in years. Hair done with more care than usual. When she walked past me, she smelled like someone who was trying to impress the world. "You look nice," I said. "Thanks," she replied, already reaching for her keys. She didn't look back when she closed the door. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the clock tick, my mind replaying moments I had ignored. The way she turned her phone screen down. The way she smiled at messages she never shared. The way she stopped asking me how my day was. At 12:47 a.m., I heard her car pull in. She walked in quietly, like someone sneaking past their own conscience. When she entered the bedroom, she froze for a second, surprised to see me awake. "You're still up?" she asked. "Couldn't sleep," I said. She nodded. No explanation. No story about how her evening went. She went straight to the bathroom and locked the door. I stared at that door for a long time. That was the moment I knew something was wrong. Not because of what she did, but because of what she didn't do. She didn't come sit beside me. She didn't ask what was bothering me. She didn't kiss me goodnight. The next morning, she was unusually cheerful. Too cheerful. She made breakfast, hummed to herself, kissed my cheek before leaving for work. Guilt wears many disguises. Sometimes it looks like kindness. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I started paying attention. Over the next few weeks, the pattern became clearer. Late nights. Secretive calls. Sudden errands that couldn't wait. A new password on her phone. When I reached for it once to check the time, she snatched it back so fast it startled both of us. "Sorry," she said quickly. "It's just work stuff." I nodded. Again. The day everything changed was painfully ordinary. She forgot her phone at home. I found it on the kitchen counter when I came back from work early. At first, I didn't touch it. I stood there staring at it like it was a ticking bomb. My heart pounded so loud I was sure the neighbors could hear it. I told myself that if I looked, there would be no going back. And if I didn't, I would spend the rest of my life wondering. My hand shook as I picked it up. The phone unlocked easily. Same password she always used. Apparently, she trusted her secrecy more than she trusted me. I didn't go through everything. I didn't need to. One name was enough. A name I didn't recognize, followed by messages no married woman should ever send. I won't repeat them here. Not because they were graphic, but because they were intimate. Familiar. Loving in a way she hadn't been. with me for a long time. My chest tightened. My vision blurred. For a moment, I thought I might throw up right there on the kitchen floor. I sat down slowly, like my legs had forgotten how to hold me. This was it. The truth. She wasn't just cheating with her body. She had already left me with her heart. When she came home that evening, I was sitting exactly where she had left me. She stopped when she saw her phone in my hand. The color drained from her face. "Why do you have my phone?" she asked, her voice thin. I looked up at her. 9 years of memories passed between us in silence. "You forgot it," I said. She swallowed hard. "Did you?" "Yes." The word fell between us like shattered glass. She didn't deny it. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just sat down across from me and stared at the floor. "I didn't plan for it to happen," she said quietly. That sentence broke something inside me. Because cheating is never an accident. We talked for hours. Or maybe it just felt like hours. She said she felt lonely. Unseen. Unappreciated. She said he listened to her. Made her feel alive. I listened without interrupting. Every word felt like another confirmation that I had already lost her. That night, we slept in the same bed, but we might as well have been in different worlds. I didn't sleep at all. By morning, I had made a decision. A painful one. A necessary one. When she left for work, I opened the closet and pulled out a suitcase. I didn't rush. I folded my clothes carefully, like I was packing not just fabric, but years of my life. Each item carried a memory. A trip. A laugh. A version of us that no longer existed. I heard the front door open earlier than expected. She stood there, staring at the suitcase. "What are you doing?" she asked. I didn't look at her as I zipped it shut. "I'm leaving." For a moment, the house was silent. Then she screamed words I will never forget. The words didn't come out as a cry. They came out as a scream. Not pain. Not fear. Anger. "How dare you," she shouted. I finally turned to look at her. She stood there in the doorway, her face flushed, eyes wide, not with regret, but with disbelief. As if I was the one betraying her. "You don't get to leave," she said, her voice shaking. "You don't get to do this to me." I blinked, trying to understand what I was hearing. "I don't get to leave?" I repeated quietly. She walked toward me fast, her hands clenched into fists. "You think you're some kind of victim here? You think packing a bag makes you noble?" I felt something heavy settle in my chest. This wasn't remorse. This wasn't guilt. This was control slipping through her fingers. "I found your messages," I said. My voice surprised me with how calm it sounded. "You were cheating on me." She laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. "So that's it," she snapped. "One mistake, and you're done?" "One mistake?" I asked. She threw her hands in the air. "I was unhappy. You were never there. You stopped seeing me years ago. You think I just woke up one day and decided to destroy our marriage?" I stared at her. Not because I didn't have a response, but because I realized something terrifying. She truly believed this was my fault. I zipped the suitcase the rest of the way and lifted it off the bed. The weight pulled on my arm, but it felt lighter than staying. "I'm not blaming you for being unhappy," I said. "I'm leaving because you chose to betray me instead of talking to me." Her expression changed then. The anger twisted into something darker. "You're running," she said. "That's what you always do. You avoid. You shut down. And now you're just walking away like a coward." The word hit me harder than I expected. Coward. I had stayed loyal. I had trusted. I had forgiven things she never even apologized for. And still, I was the coward. I took a step toward the door. That's when she screamed the words I will never forget. If you walk out that door, she yelled, don't come back when you realize no one else will ever love you like I did. I froze. Not because it hurt, but because it finally opened my eyes. This wasn't love. Love doesn't threaten you with loneliness. Love doesn't weaponize fear. Love doesn't punish you for having boundaries. She continued, her voice breaking into something almost desperate. You think he meant anything? She said. He was nothing. Just a distraction. You're throwing away 9 years over nothing. Nothing. I turned slowly and looked at her. You gave your heart to another man, I said. That's not nothing. Tears finally appeared in her eyes, but they didn't move me anymore. I had cried enough for both of us in silence. You should have fought for me, she whispered. I did, I replied. Every day you didn't notice. I walked past her. She grabbed my arm. Don't do this, she said, her voice softer now. We can fix it. I'll end it. I promise. I gently removed her hand. You didn't stop when you had the chance, I said. And I won't stay just to be chosen last. The front door felt heavier than it ever had before. When I opened it, the air outside felt different, cooler, cleaner. Like the world was breathing for me. Behind me, she collapsed onto the couch. I didn't turn around. Because I knew if I did, I might stay. And staying would have destroyed me. I drove without knowing where I was going. The road blurred as tears finally came, silent, uncontrollable. Not because I missed her, but because I was mourning the version of my life I thought I had. That night, I slept on a friend's couch. The next morning, my phone was full of messages. Angry ones. Guilty ones. Then pleading ones. She swung between blaming me and begging me to come back. I didn't reply. Silence was the first boundary I ever truly enforced. Days turned into weeks. The quiet hurt at first. The empty mornings. The unfamiliar loneliness. But slowly, something else replaced the pain. Clarity. I realized how often I had shrunk myself to keep her comfortable. How often I had apologized for things that weren't my fault. How often I had mistaken endurance for love. Cheating didn't end our marriage. It revealed the truth about it. One night, weeks later, she sent a final message. I never thought you'd actually leave. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed back. I never thought you'd give me a reason. And that was the last thing I ever said to her. Healing doesn't arrive all at once. It comes in quiet moments you don't expect. It came to me one morning when I woke up and realized I hadn't checked my phone for her messages. No anger. No fear. No hope. Just nothing. At first, that scared me. Then I understood it was peace. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of the city. It wasn't fancy. The walls were bare. The nights were quiet. But for the first time in years, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt honest. There were days the pain came back without warning. A song we used to play in the car. A grocery item I automatically reached for out of habit. 9 years doesn't disappear just because love dies. But something had changed. I stopped blaming myself. I stopped replaying her words in my head. No one will ever love you like I did. I finally heard the truth hidden inside that threat. She wasn't saying I was unlovable. She was afraid I would realize I deserved better. One afternoon, a mutual friend told me she had moved on quickly. That she told people I gave up on the marriage. That I was emotionally unavailable. I didn't correct the story. I didn't need to. The strongest closure is not defending yourself. It's knowing who you are. Weeks later, I ran into her by chance at a store. She looked tired. Older somehow. When our eyes met, there was a moment, just a second, where I saw regret flicker across her face. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something. I nodded politely and walked past her. Not out of anger. Out of freedom. That night, I sat alone on my balcony, watching the city lights. I thought about the man I had been, the one who stayed quiet to keep the peace, who ignored his instincts, who believed love meant endurance. And I thought about the man I was becoming. A man who understands that love should never cost you your self-respect. A man who knows that walking away isn't weakness. It's courage. A man who learned that the loudest truth is sometimes spoken in silence. I didn't win anything by leaving. I lost a marriage. I lost a future I imagined. I lost someone I loved. But I gained something far more valuable. Myself. And if there's one lesson I carry forward, it's this. When someone betrays you and then screams at you for choosing yourself, they aren't angry that you're leaving. They're angry because they no longer control you. Sometimes, the bravest thing you'll ever do isn't fighting for love. It's knowing when to walk away.